Hey guys, Hobo Yeti here. I wanted to do a rehash on a video I've done previously about finding a good stealth camp. With the grants past decision, the ruling to make being homeless illegal, or at least camping on public property illegal, you kind of got to do it a different way. Before you could just throw your tent down pretty much anywhere, and they'd give you if somebody found it, they'd give you a warning. You have 3 days to cut and run. But nowadays, with it being illegal, they're just putting you in jail, or they might ask you to leave or something. But I don't know. It's like you're being forced to evade. Like what am I going to do? Stay in one of my mansions? If they just tell me to move my tent, what am I going to do? I'm just going to move it to another spot. It's not a solution. The grants pass ruling is not a solution. It's a freaking, it's turning me into an outlaw just for camping where I am, So I'm going to talk about looking for a good camp spot. I prefer a place in the woods or somewhere where I can disguise my tent, somewhere where it won't be noticed. Sometimes it's about looking for a spot that is kind of not just off the beaten path, but it's about a line of sight. I try to make my campsite kind of off the beaten path, but also out of line of sight. So, and you're when you're setting up your camp, you're looking for where are people going to be looking at night, where the headlight's going to be pointing. So anyway, the first thing you want to do is check Google Maps. What I'll do is I'll go to the library and get on Google Maps and check, do the satellite view, and I'll look for good spots. If it's got like a little creek running through it, that'll work a lot of times. I'll look for, like I said, wooded areas. I did live I was homeless briefly in the high desert area of Utah. That's not a good spot. There's really, it's hard, everything's flat, everything's desert. It's not a good place to look, but there are places like up in the mountain passes, but that's kind of far. As I get older, I want to be closer to stuff. But you look for places with easy access, something you can leave the road and go into like a wooded area or something, and then make your way to your camp spot. You don't want something that you're going to have to go across an open field or something like that, where you're going to be noticed because you're going to be camouflaging your campsite, but you also want to be incognito when you're kind of going to your spot. No noticeable entrance or exits. Just zip in and you're done. You want it to be close to like a library, grocery, buses, pantries, a gym. Basically, you want everything close by. Maybe a bus stop close by. You want to steer clear of residential areas. People tend to take notice more of their surroundings. If they're sitting in their backyard, they're like, what's that over there? Also dogs play a part of that. They'll bark more, and you don't want somebody barking or a dog barking and drawing the attention of people. You don't want to be near schools, prisons. You just don't want it. You want something that's going to be kind of out of the way. Like where I'm at, there's, I don't know, about half a mile that way and 3/4 of a mile that way, there's a residential area. But I prefer to be on land that's wooded, and over here is like a commercial area, a distribution center and stuff. And like Okay, so moving on, bridges. I'm not a big fan of bridges. Bridges are easy to get to. There's been times when I've been on the road where, just to get out of the rain and to get dried out, I would hole up under a bridge for a while. In the Pacific Northwest, a lot of those places are taken, or that's where the cops check first, so I would avoid those. But, if you go further out, that might be an option for you, at least a temporary option. You want to go at least, a couple 100 feet, maybe more from where you're entering the wooded area, and stuff like that. Like I said, streams are usually good. If you can find a good stream, usually by its very nature, they're going to be wooded on all around that, and you can usually find a good spot in near a stream. And it's also good to be near a source of water so you can bathe and do laundry and stuff like that. But at the same time, usually a good, those kind of things run through, residential areas, and I try to avoid those. But once you've got about 3 or 4 good possible ideas of where to go to set up your tent, possible campsites, you'll get on the bus, or you'll walk or bicycle to those locations and physically check them out. Because, on Google Maps, you can check Street View, and that's somewhat helpful, but actually getting out to those spots is going to be a way to kind of scout out a good guerrilla stealth camping spot. And you're checking for things like, things that wouldn't be apparent with Google Maps. Like I said, maybe dogs, maybe it's on somebody's land. I don't know. Access may be limited, or there may be an abundance of traffic going to that area. Maybe, there's some places, I remember I was holed up under a bridge one time. I can't remember where it was, but it was a place where people would go to bring their dogs, So I that morning, I slept all night. I was like, this is a good spot. And then the next morning, people were just, not a lot of people, 3 or 4 people came with their dogs. Some were walking them, some were playing fetch and stuff. And I was like, I felt really exposed at that point. So you want to check stuff out. But when you're going to what you're physically checking for, obviously, a good entrance, trails. Make sure there's no trails going in and out. Or trails that are overgrown, maybe that would be okay, but any kind of walking trails or game paths that have been expanded, you're checking for footprints, you're checking for, do people go out this way? Because, when you're going for your trail, you're looking for no trails, and you're looking for underbrush, and you want to make the trails, right? If you see a lot of foot traffic and all that stuff, no, you don't want to be near that. But a lot of these places, you're going to be going through underbrush and stuff like that to kind of find the perfect spot. And if you're having to cut a trail to that camp spot, then you can be almost guaranteed that this is one of those abandoned glades that people just don't go to, and it's going to be more of a safe place. You're looking for when you're looking for your camping spot, you want something like high ground, right? Even if it's like a foot above the rest of the surrounding area, and that's kind of what it is here. I don't know if I can show you. No, I can't. Okay, sorry. I've got this on a tripod, and I don't know, but I don't know I'm on a little bit of a hill, the crest of a hill, and it's about a foot difference, which makes all the difference, since it rains, 9 months out of the year, and, during the summer and spring, it's all delightful and stuff, but then now it's just mud season, and, there's whole areas that were places that I would use to get to and from my tent are now like floodplains, and they're just, they got like 6 inches of standing water. So high ground is important. Make sure there's no deadfall above. Having a tree above your campsite is okay, but I wouldn't suggest it. Especially if the trees are, sometimes during the wintertime, for instance, we'll have our first freeze, and everything's going to be coated in like ice, and then as it thaws, things start popping throughout the forest, and trees and limbs are coming down and stuff. So I don't want to be under a tree that's gonna happen to, and collapse on me or whatever. You want to make sure there's good ground cover for all season, and not just ground cover, but cover. Like I've got over here. I'm further down, I guess, but I've got like a scrim of brush, thrushes, whatever. I've got that put around the tent on this side of the tent over here. I went ahead and got a blind, like a mesh, camouflage mesh stuff, and then I put leaves on top of that, and so that, and because there's a distribution center over there, but if somebody like were to get out of one of their trucks and kind of maybe look into the woods real carefully, they might see me, but it's about, I don't know, 150, 200 feet away, so probably not, but just in case, like I set this up in the spring, or not the spring, I set this up during the fall, and I set it up, I set up the scrim over there, and the leaves weren't off the trees completely, so I wanted to be sure. So now I don't even worry about it. But having, because sometimes you'll look at a good spot maybe during the spring, say you're scoping out a spot, it's the spring or the summer or the fall, and you're looking, okay, that's a good spot, and then all the leaves fall, and then suddenly there's a direct view. You don't want that. Beware of ditches filling with water. It's weird. It's like during the summer months, 3 or 4 months of summer, and everything dries up and is real beautiful and stuff. But then as soon as the rain comes, all of the ditches fill up with water, and you want to be careful about that, because you might find a good spot that you go through a low, like a ditch area, to get to your tent, and then suddenly, you wake up after a day of raining, and suddenly there's a ditch full of water, and you can't get out of your campsite, your camp area. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind how the light looks throughout the day. Like you might be, the time of day you might be looking at your new potential camp spot, and you're looking and you're like, wow, that's got like, it's very shadowed and everything, but maybe at a different time of day, the light's going to hit upon your camp spot and kind of spotlight you. So remember to check the lighting throughout the day. Next, I guess, is when you're setting up your camp. More than likely you're going to be starting out with a tent. I've had dreams of setting up like an underground home and stuff like that. I've had, to really, back in my old campsite, I basically built a fort around my tent. So it looked like I was in a cave of like a bramble type thing. Like it was like a cave. And that was cool. And you can do that. But when you're first starting off, you're basically looking to set up your camp in a tent and a tarp and make it good enough. For me, I need like a 10 by 10 area, maybe an 8 by 8 for the tent itself. But what I'll do is I'll prepare the ground. I'll kick all the rocks, I'll kick all the branches and all that stuff. And I'll also go, since I'm a side sleeper, I'll basically figure out where I'm going to lay down, like a 6 or 7 foot by 2 foot area, and I'll prepare the ground. I'll like dig it out a little bit, or or sculpt it almost, so that there are high points and low points. Low points for my shoulders, my hips and stuff, so that I know I can lay comfortably. And then I'll put down like a mat and test it out, And that way when I put my tent over and get it all set up and then get everything set up with my camping pad, like I'm fairly comfortable for sleeping. So there's that. Putting up and then I'll put up, after I've got my tent and everything set up, I'll set up a berm around the areas which are visible that I don't want to be seen. The thing is I wish I could show you my berm, but you've seen it in previous videos. Basically, it's just branches, and the thing, from where I'm looking out at, you can kind of see. I'll see if I can do it right now. Yeah, see, so that's the berm, and it's no big thing, right? It's just branches. You can kind of see through it, but when you're coming from, I'll put this back in here. When you're coming from that way, from over there coming this way, yeah, you see the berm, but then there's shadow behind it pretty much at all times of the day, and you cannot, you don't see the tent. And so, I don't know, once I get my tent set up, I've got some berms and things like that around it, and then I kind of figure out the route I'm going to take to get to my tent. So when you don't want any kind of trails that are going straight from like the road to your tent. Like to get back here, it's a good couple hundred feet back, several hundred feet. And so getting here, like I'll get off the road at the same place, but then it's like a meandering trail, and go here and go back, and for me that's the easiest to walk, since the ground's been broken, a trail's been cut. But at the same time, it's you start going one way and then you cut over to another way, and it's like a game trail almost. You're like, what? Most people, when they're coming back through here, I would imagine coming through, when I come back through here, I know where I'm going, so I know where to go, so it's not a big deal. But other people would have a problem. Also, I don't really hang out with any policemen's, any coppers or anything like that. But it's been my experience that they don't want to go off trail in their shiny shoes. They've got their nice pressed police uniform, and I've seen them do like a weekend where they get in like fatigues and stuff like that and harass the homeless. But I don't know. I can't imagine, because for me to get back here, my shoes get completely covered in mud and stuff. Look at that. That's from going from the street to my tent. They get covered in mud coming back here. So I can't imagine a cop being able to come back here, even if they knew I was back here. And I think, with the Guerrilla Pass ruling, I think they're looking for homeless tents. But basically, camouflage is a big part of hiding out, but also being incognito. Like, if they don't know I'm here, if I'm a ghost, I'm a guerrilla fighter, right? They don't know that I'm here, so they're not going to bother me, right? But either way, I try to remain incognito, and and that's what you have to do nowadays. Nowadays, you can't just be homeless and, oh, that sucks, and if they kick you out of your tent, you can go stay in your mansion or your lakefront house, right? You've got to got to go deeper into the bush or go to jail or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of messed up, but hopefully this video has helped. I said it before in previous videos, but I thought I'd do a redux on it and hope it helps you. I hope your road is a good one, and if you're homeless, I hope it doesn't suck for you. Hobo Yeti signing off.